District Road Improvement Program. Former Sports Minister Nii Lante Vanderpuye, he'll be joining us to have a conversation on a myriad of matters. But before then, I want us to touch on the flooding situation a bit, because yes, that is our state of affairs. You know, it is said that whenever it rains in Accra, that is when all our weaknesses in terms of our planning are exposed to the greater part of the world. Because yes, whenever it rains, the slightest rain is what sees as our capital is seen to be flooded whenever rain pours down here in Accra, and that's a really challenging one. In some instances, we've seen so many measures put in place to ensure that we do not keep recording such instances, but unfortunately this is where we are, that whenever it pours, we get situations like this arising in the capital and beyond. And some say this speaks to our planning and the gaps in our planning when we're planning cities in the country. Are we learning lessons whatsoever? Are we putting in place the right measures? How do we curb this? Because mind you, the Ghana Meteorological Agency has warned that we should be expecting more rains this year. And so if what we saw yesterday was anything to go by, we are looking at more of these instances going forward, more of these challenges bedeviling us as a people. And so we do not want to wait and then have a total disaster on our hands. And then what do we do? Provide relief items, among others. What pragmatic steps do we need to be putting in place to ensure? I've seen some demolition, especially in the Nungwa enclave, where some structures and waterways were brought down. The people there are not excited about it. So there was some level of confrontation. But at what point do we agree that as a people we need to put the nation first before parochial interest? Put the nation first. Know exactly what would happen when you erect your structure in that waterway, regardless of who sold the land to you or the fact that you've been allowed to build. Because at the end of the day, it is your homes that will be flooded. We need to just have a proper conversation on this someday, somehow. But yes, on State of Affairs tonight, like I did indicate, I'll be speaking to a former member of parliament for the Ododo constituency here in the Greater Accra region. He's also a former sports minister. He has quite some interesting views when it comes to sports, because he's been in the sporting world not only as a minister, but even prior to that, at some point in his life, he was heading the sports department of a media house. So yes, I'll be speaking to the man Edwin Nii Lante Vanderpuye. Currently, he's the national coordinator for the District Road Improvement Program. Honorable, welcome.
Thank you, my brother.
I hope you're doing well.
I'm blessed.
We thank God. We thank God to have you in the studios this evening. And let's start the conversation this evening. And I just want to find out from you, primarily, how has the journey been since you exited Parliament?
Oh, it's been very restful. Let me say for sure. First, let me say good evening to our viewers and to all of us who are listening to us, and to say thank you for inviting me.
Right.
Let me say I was really prepared for the exit. So I thought that I've had enough. I've gone through a lot of stress. It's not been easy for me. My family had enough of the stress themselves. Both maternal and paternal family were so much interested, especially events leading up to 2020 elections and after the elections, what happened.
Right.
My family went through a lot of traumatic times, and it took a lot of a lot of effort, money, to be able to get my children to overcome the trauma. My wife, my children all said enough was enough. I was more valuable to them than whatever it was. So it's a journey you cannot do without your family. You must have both the spiritual and the physical support of your immediate and the extended family. And it was a unanimous decision by the whole family, both extended and the nuclear, that enough was enough.
Was it that bad?
It was. My political life has not been that rosy as others. It's been very eventful since I entered in 2000 It's not been easy. So arrests after arrest, detentions, violence, attacks, and it is not everybody who can really be able. Sometimes I tell myself I'm tough, but sometimes you have to be wise. So, and also the leader is the one who is able to nurture other people to take over from him when he's no more there. This politics, no one can claim to be indispensable. It gets to a time when you must give way to others to add to whatever you have built or to improve upon what you have done. And I thought that was a time. It's always better to get out of it when the applause is high, than to allow yourselves to be defeated and also embarrassed or disgraced. So I put all things together, consulted with a lot of friends, my political godfathers, and especially His Excellency the President.
John Dramani Mahama.
Yes.
Right.
Consulted, and he assured me that I will always have a role for you to play, so don't worry. The most important is make sure we win the seat. So I thank God I have a worthy replacement. The people are happy. Those who thought I was a liability are happy I'm out. And those who
people thought you were a liability to the party?
No politician will have 100% support in his constituency or in his area.
Even within his party?
Yes, not. Those who thought I was a blessing are worried. Some of them are happy that have taken a respite. Some of them are worried because they had a lot of hope and a lot of joy and happiness representing them, seeing me as their member of parliament. They were so happy.
And you did that from 2012?
Yes, actually
throughout.
I started this journey as far back as 1996.
Wow.
I was a parliamentary aspirant in 1996. It didn't work out. I tried again in 2000, it didn't work out. 2004, it didn't work out. 2008, I decided that Honorable Take Kwame should continue. So he continued until 2012. So it's been a very, very long journey.
Wow.
You have to calculate from 1996 to 2025.
Right.
It's not been easy.
And in all of these, you keep saying that your family felt that it was too much. Enough was enough. But did you at any point feel that enough was enough personally?
Let me say this personally. I had also thought about 3 terms. Not more than 3.
Right.
So the events that happened and the sentiments expressed by my family and all those things just weaved together. Let me say this, I'm a very strong family person. My maternal, paternal family, everybody would testify. I love my family because I've been made by the Almighty God and few benevolent people. But my pillar has always been my family.
Right.
Especially my maternal family in Adan and elsewhere, the Sabute family. They've been so supportive. The Vanderpuye family of Accra has been so encouraging. And every activity in the family, I contribute a lot.
Right.
Nothing has been done in the family from the years that I became who I am that have been left out.
Okay.
And in spite of sometimes my busy, difficult schedule, I try as much as possible to always be present and also take part and contribute to whatever the family was doing. So I value family.
Okay.
I'm not one of those Ghanaians who was raised in those environments where it was just an issue of father, mother, brothers.
In the nuclear family system?
Yeah, no. I grew up in a community.
Right.
I grew up both in the family community and also in a communal environment. I grew up, I was born in Nima. I grew up in Accra, Adraka, and Bakla Accra. when I left Accra, I stayed in a very small town called Abisim in Sunyani. And in all these places, it's been the people around, neighbors. You know, people you meet on your way to the farm, people you meet on your way to the market, people you meet on your way to fetch water. These are the people who have related with me, and each and every one of them. I've also had opportunity and a blessing to be able to say that I've stayed in almost half of the country. Yeah, because my father was a bus inspector. And he was transferred several times and at any point in time. So almost every body in Ghana, I would say, have had a particular impact or effect on my life.
And all of that shaped you into the man you are today.
I've lived in Ashanti region, I've lived in Brong-Ahafo, I lived in Central region, I lived in the northern part of the country before, I've lived a little time in the Volta region before. So all these things shaped my life for me to know that where people are concerned, you as an individual should not make your interests become a priority. It's the people around you whose interests should be able to decide what interests you yourself will also have. So when the people decided that enough was enough, look, please take a rest. Who am I to resist? Who am I to say, no, I will not listen to you? If I had listened, I don't know what will have happened.
I'm sure there are people who also did not, were not happy with the fact that you wanted to take a bow.
Up to today.
And so they would also do whatever it takes to make sure that you stay.
Up to today, a lot of the opinion leaders in the community, especially our chiefs and some of our ministers of the religion, both Christian and Muslim, are not happy. And some of them have taken offense that the way I left. A lot of them were of the view that I have suffered under an MPP regime for 8 years. So they didn't see why I should leave now when the NDC was in power. Their thinking and their thoughts were that I should experience at least 4 years of the NDC in power so that I could impact on their lives more.
Looking at what you were able to do when your party was in opposition.
Yes. So they thought that I should stay. But I also felt, yes, this is a time when, because the person who is coming may not be as strong as I am. The person who is coming may not be as connected as I am. So it's better for me to rather go so that that person can come and with the benefit of an NDC government be able to build his stature and then we look forward. Yeah, so it was a decision I took out of good counsel.
And I'm sure it wasn't an easy one to take.
It wasn't easy because my Apostle General Kranchi was not happy. He felt I should continue. And to defy him was quite problematic. But I had to. At that time I was really thinking about my family. I was thinking about my nuclear and extended family. I was thinking about some people who loved me, my schoolmates, in France, old boys who couldn't sleep that day on the 7th of December 2020 elections and calling from all over where they are. So they drove all their cars to the constituency to check up on me. And all. No, a lot of them felt that, look, we need you more as Nii Lante Vanderpuye and not as a politician. So if the politics is going to take you away from us, why don't we protect you? Why don't we advise you and counsel you to be able to? So I wasn't expecting everybody to be happy with the decision, but I felt I've contributed enough. The accounts have a proverb that says "Nipa beye biwa beye ni nyina." So from a constituency where no member of parliament has had a full two terms, for God to have been gracious unto me to have done 3 terms, I think I would be too much of a greedy person to want to do more.
But do you miss Parliament?
No, I don't.
You don't miss Parliament?
I don't. Let me be frank with you. My last term in Parliament was the worst time, and let me say the most disappointing time of all the 12 years.
The last 4 years?
Yes. I was so eager to let the term of office come immediately so that I could work.
Between 2020 and 2024?
I'm being frank with you. This is something that I didn't want to say, but let me say it here. I'm one of the few people who I've become disillusioned with Parliament. Because my political aspirations and the sort of things I stand for, my principles I've always adhered, were never enhanced during my time in Parliament. There are so many things that I saw in Parliament that were navy and were against my own principles, but I had to go. I had to be involved. I had to do it because that is what the structure and the institution demands.
So there was a conflict,
a lot,
between your personal values and then the values you had to espouse because you were a member of Parliament.
Yes, a lot. That conflict sometimes was a bit too difficult to suppress. So sometimes I leave Parliament asking myself so many questions. Sometimes in the morning when I dress up, I'm going to Parliament. There's this battle between the spiritual Nii Lante Vanderpuye and the physical Nii Lante Vanderpuye. Do I have to be there? Do I have to go? No. Sometimes you sit in the chamber and the sort of things you're going through. Am I at the right place? You start asking yourself questions. So I was prepared for it because my aspirations had all not been met. My interests in being a member of Parliament and the sort of things I've read about Parliament and the responsibilities of members of Parliament was made worse 8 years between 2017 and 2024.
Between those periods, were there specific instances of these things you're talking about that makes you not miss Parliament, even though you've been there for 12 years?
Let me say one thing. I will just give you one.
Okay.
One of the most disappointing days for me in Parliament, which I will always refer to, was the day Parliament passed the bill to hand over the Songo salt to Electrochem.
Why?
Because that day we were just about 12 people in the chamber. And a document handing over natural resource like our salt to somebody. And when the document came, within 4 hours, 5 hours, we have passed it. I felt sick. And it was so disappointing. That day, my heart was heavy. I was so much under temperature, so much.
Why were you feeling that way? Was it because of who was in charge?
It's not because of
or the fact that
I felt that
it's been privatized.
I felt that the people of Ghana, and especially my people in Ada, have been given a very raw deal. Because there was not enough scrutiny. The sort of things I was expecting to see in a bill that will give the people some comfort, that will near to the benefit of the people, the indigenous people, and also the whole of Ghana. I didn't see it in the bill. And you know, the institution of Parliament was said that if you are not a member of a particular committee and there's a bill before that committee, you go in as a friend. But you should know that it's not, you say things, but at the end of it all, it's the committee members who take the decision and not you. And I felt something like that we should have had a much more extensive, and it's not the only thing. There are so many bills that passed through Parliament during the tenure that I felt Parliament did not give enough time to those things. And some of them are hurting us today. You and I should thank God that the yield levy has been removed.
Yes.
The events that led to the passage of the yield levy was appalling. You understand? One of the other things that hurt me was the fact that Parliament, for example, we know that the Constitution and our standing orders say that when there is somebody presiding, that person do not have a vote. That person forfeit his vote. But there was a day when a speaker of Parliament, a deputy speaker, but acting as a speaker at that time because the speaker was not around, presided of an issue and forcefully voted And such a thing even went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court gave a decision on it, which all of us, reading the Constitution and understanding of this black and white, whether it is the spirit or the letter, know that it's a very wrong decision. You understand?
Right.
So certain things, people like where we have come from. Don't forget me. I'm a product of a revolution.
Revolution, yes.
I'm a kidder. So I've imbibed in myself, in me, certain values, certain principles, and certain characters. And when those things vary, or you get into a situation where there's a conflict, you sometimes have to sit down and analyze what your reaction will be. Would it be in a public good? Will it be in a public interest? Or should you burst the bubble? You understand? I'm a team player, so sometimes I may not be happy with the way we are playing.
Yes.
But then I'll continue to play so that we achieve the result. So reluctantly, I've taken part in so many things and so many during my time in Parliament that today when I sit there, I say, look, the Nii Lante Vanderpuye I know would have done this if I were not a member of Parliament.
So you have regrets about those things?
A lot.
And so you would also agree with people who say that Parliament has also been complicit in where we are currently as a country.
Yes,
in terms of
100%. 100%. Because you see, Parliament is supposed to be a check on the executive. Sometimes become an appendage to the executive.
Right.
To the extent that it doesn't matter the political dispensation. You are whipped to take certain decisions which under normal circumstance you wouldn't take. But you are constrained. There's nothing you can do. For political convenience, you must allow it to go. And that to me is really evil. It's wrong. It's demonic. I think it has not helped us as a country. I take time in listening to debates on the floor of the House in UK, in US, and other jurisdictions. I admire parliamentarians who sometimes could stand up against the decisions and the desires and the policies and programs of their own party.
Based on their personal convictions.
Personal convictions. Right. A lot of people were really against Manchin, the last Democratic member of Parliament, senator, who really stood up against Biden.
Yes.
But a lot of things that Manchin said came to bite the Democrats.
Yes.
Maybe you should have listened to him in a way. So I think that we Parliament need reforms, serious reforms, and it's not because I'm out, but people who have left Parliament, a lot of people have said those things.
Right.
And continually, it's been the same character. The current speaker himself has made certain comments about the need for us to reform Parliament. He has been an apostle of making the independence, the autonomy, and also the freedom of Parliament, the legislature, the power, the strength of the legislature in exercising its oversight of executive, one of its most prior strengths and also guides. But it's not been easy. It's not been easy. It's not been easy for him. I don't know what he will do now that he has a much more, let me say, accommodating majority.
Right.
And also where his political interest is also in the executive. I think this is an opportunity for Speaker Bagbin to push a lot of the reforms. And having a president who himself also believes in the strength, the power, the freedom, let me say, the insulation of the legislature from the control of the executive. I think President Mama and Speaker Bagbin, if they could work together, will be able to reshape how the executive relates with the legislature.
Do you think that can happen, especially now when the NDC has an overwhelming majority?
This is the time that the NDC should sacrifice to make it happen. I've also come to accept, initially I didn't, but I've also come to accept, I've changed my opinion on the need to have a distinct members of parliament and legislature from the executive. I also believe that members of the legislature should not be members of the executive.
So in other terms, MP should not be ministers?
Yes, I have, over my time in parliament.
Because there have been recent calls again for
yes,
that.
Before I became a member of parliament, I was also of the opinion that the hybrid this thing was good for us. Taking into cognizance the events of the 1979 parliament, what happened with the Harry Sawyers and all those things. But after staying in parliament, I tend to support those who have advocated that there must be distinct separation of powers. No member of the executive should also be a member of the legislature. No member of the legislature should be a member of the executive, so that we can have that respect for each other.
Do you think that weakens the independent role of these arms?
I will not allow you to finish. It does.
Right.
It does.
It compromises.
Yeah, a lot. I've been a member of the House. I'm so experienced in that to know. I'm lucky. I've been a member of the executive. I've been a member of the legislature. I can tell you, the independence of the legislature is always compromised by the decisions of the executive. And until we break that particular link and break that bridge into two and let everybody, then we can have good separation of powers. Then we can have distinct borders and parameters where people can maneuver. And in that situation, it will make the executive a bit more responsible.
Right.
Because when you want something done in parliament, you will have to convince absolutely members of parliament, members of legislature, why you want this done. It wouldn't be a case that the members of the legislature who are members of executive are whipped at the executive level and sent to go and make sure enforce that these things are done at the legislature. And also members of the legislature wanting to cut the eye of the executive are always ready to bend in order to satisfy the demands and the desires of the executive, so that they could have that consideration they're looking for. So I believe that we can do a lot for our democracy now if we have absolute separation of powers.
And you say that Speaker Bagbin has a golden opportunity to make that happen. What are some specific reforms you'll be looking forward to from Speaker Bagbin?
I think as we're having a constitutional reform now, I think they must engage with Speaker Bagbin. The review. They must engage with Speaker Bagbin to be able to help them bring out some of the things that he thinks that when we put in the constitution, we will loosen the sort of control and hands that the executive have in the workings of the legislature.
Right.
We should be able to have those clauses explicitly stated in the constitutional reforms. Vote on it, let it be there. And the first that I would say is separating the executive from the legislature and making sure that we could still have a sort of hybrid system that necessarily don't make members of parliament ministers of state. Right.
Well, so my guest this evening is Edwin Nii Lante Vanderpuye. He's the national coordinator for DRIP. And we'll be getting to that conversation shortly, because he's also been very busy. A couple of days ago, he had to give some serious instructions about one of their equipment that was found somewhere in Obuasi, I should say. But we're talking about Parliament now, because he's been in Parliament for 12 years, 3 consecutive terms. He's now out of Parliament. We're looking at the reforms, because the NDC has pledged to reset the country. So as part of the research agenda, what his expectations would be in the various fields. We'll also be touching on some other topical issues. I remember when we posted your flyer today, a lot of questions have come in for you. I'm like, Ghanaians miss you already. We miss Edwin Nii Lante Vanderpuye being very vocal and also being open to the media, answering questions, talking about things that happen. But what do you make of the minority and how they've behaved in this 9th Parliament?
Let me say this. I wouldn't want to sound political, but let me say I'm disappointed in them a bit. One thing I came to observe in Parliament is that experience matters a lot.
Right.
I think that they didn't help themselves by the sort of leadership they've had.
The minority in parliament?
Yeah. From when they were even the majority. I think that the decision to change Mensah was wrong. Was wrong, absolutely wrong. And even when they changed Mensah, I expected that people like GHOne and the rest who were much more experienced and have that sort of clout will be at the front bench. You know, the ability of their current leadership to be able to properly whip their people has been poor. And as a legislature and a minority, they've been too political. Too political. And so they are making themselves engrossed in petty issues that shouldn't be an issue for a minority.
But let's say they are keeping the government in check.
Yeah, there are so many ways of keeping the government in check. There are some of the things that should be for the party and not for the minority. You understand?
Right.
For example, I heard them having a press conference on this issue of Sami Gyamfi.
Yes.
And I was scandalized. As a member of parliament. You know, members of parliament, we do these things all the time. All the time.
You do which things? What's Sami Gyamfi?
Giving money out to people? Oh, it's a normal military exercise for members of parliament.
Right.
I'm telling you. It's sometimes I could go to my constituency, I will leave, I will just go to the bank, draw money, get my constituency, 10,000, 20,000. By the time I'm leaving the constituency, I'll be left with nothing. It happens all the time.
Right.
So I was asking myself, are these members of parliament questioning what happened? Why? If that was wrong, then every member of parliament don't deserve to be in parliament.
Right.
You understand? So I felt that was petty. That was seriously irrelevant. And the whole minority will organize a press conference on this and even go to the level of say we are even signing a petition.
Yes, the petition
it is absolutely.
And 3 other bodies, they want it to be investigated because they believe that he's flouted some laws.
You know, I was going to use a word that is very, let me say, common with Kopana Yeboah, but in the Ghana language, it doesn't sit well.
I think I get it.
The Ghana will say, I'm a lua. Seriously, because this, if you like, let's bet this weekend, get your news anchors across the region to follow the MPs who will go to funerals from the minority and see whether they won't give money to anybody at the funeral grounds. So I want to ask them, is it the denomination which was used, the currency which was used,
they've raised that question,
which was their problem, or the act?
So they've raised 2 questions.
So let me ask you simple. Assuming you go out and that time you don't have any CD on you, and you are lucky that before you came to that program, somebody has benevolently given you some dollars, and then you get there and people are harassing you for money, and you don't have CD on you, what will you give? You tell people to wait. You are going to Forest Bureau to change into CDs before you come and give them. Is that it?
That's not logical.
Yeah. So sometimes you sit there and ask yourself whether you should do politics with such an issue. And then when you look at it, and you get to the level, the conclusion. A lot of me, it has happened to me several times. A lot of my people have said, but then you should talk about this, you should do about it. I said, no. I can't do politics with this, I can't do politics with that. For example, so many issues about sports. I'm one person who doesn't want to politicize any issue about sports. You understand? Yes. But people were expecting Nii Lante to talk about it. I said, no. Because in sports, when you do that, you are actually not bringing people together for the interest of the nation. 2, and sports is one science that whether you like it or not, what you say today will come to bite you tomorrow. Because if you talk about a coach today, tomorrow there will be a coach when you are there, and that coach may do the same mistake that the other coach did. Are you going to also say that because you said A about coach A, B must also be the same? People are expecting you to take that decision. So it is not everything, but in this particular minority,
led by Afenyo Markin.
Yes, and I have a lot of respect for Afenyo. As a person, I have a respect for him. As a young man, to be able to hold a seat like a futu, you know, he's made it like his own, you know, because if you look at the time past, people who have been MPs in the futu have not been from Dr. Yebiakwa, Dr. Donata, you look at my very friend Mike Hammer, you know, and for him to just take the seat and make it his own is admirable.
Right.
But then you see, what you should also know is that politics is all about your life. How would you want people to see you when you get out of the cloak of politics? When you put the suit behind you and you step out there as an ordinary person, as I am today. I walk through town and I'm happy. People point fingers at me, people smile at me, people are eager to embrace me, people are eager to talk to me because of the way I presented myself, because of the way I acted as a member of parliament.
Right.
Even people who didn't like me, people who belong to the other camp, there are certain things that they see in me that make them excited. And they open their mouth and say, me and Kami MPP ni but me pewasempa.
Right.
When I step in Kuma and say, I'm like Otunfo's son. You understand? Many, even some of the people in the hierarchy of the MPP, you know, it's not for nothing that Nana decided to campaign for me in my constituency instead of his parliamentary candidate. It's not for nothing.
One kind of year cry.
Yeah, Nana, because he has admiration for me. Yeah, so it is about what sort of testimonial are you writing as a member of parliament for tomorrow? What reference will we be making? Are you the member of parliament who was in parliament and all that we were doing is to just you know, take advantage of any political situation, you know, talk as if you are not experienced, you are not a mature politician? So those things are the things that I think what they need to do is to be able to craftily build themselves into a viable alternative for tomorrow. Because if you look at us, when we were in a minority, yes, we did press conferences, but it was not on everything. It was not on any trivial issue. It's not that just on any useless thing that we go and organize a press conference. No. If you look at the issues we tackle, sometimes we focus the whole time. What we were doing actually was to have people like shadow ministers, and they were always looking. So Okudjeto was always looking at issue of foreign affairs with this, and then there are issues when they come up. Not everybody speaks. We decide we can take it. Aruna will take the decision and said, you this person must speak. You this person must speak. It got to a time we tried to focus only on the issue of the economy, only on the issue of corruption, and on all those issues. Because we spent our time to engage Ghanaians, Ghanaians came to appreciate the fact that, look, these people are a better alternative. So our performance in the elections was also as a result of our performance in parliament as a minority.
Right.
Because of all the issues that we raise, today, every Ghanaian have appreciated the fact that then they talk about it. We talk about e-levy.
Yes.
We talk about that budget we rejected. People didn't want to understand. We talk about the national ID card. We talk about Kelvin GVG. We talk about all these issues we raise. And people, the majority thought that, look, there were so many, Keno Forata, for example. Let me tell you, it's one example that I always give. And I say that was the day MPP lost the elections. We went home for a workshop on the budget. That was when Ken decided that he wanted to do the domestic debt estate program.
DDEP.
Yeah, so they engage us, ranking members and the rest. There, when we broke, all of us, consensus, we engage. And then we set a roadmap for the removal of Ken. That when we came to Parliament, we, the minority, first going to raise a motion in Parliament, and then we'll have the majority to support us.
Right.
As soon as we got to Parliament, they were advised that if they allow us to take the lead, we'll take the shine out of them. So they circumvented and decided they would take action themselves.
There were 70 MPs.
Yes.
Who started
they took the action, and when they were whipped, they backed out. But if they allowed us to have taken the action, silently they would have voted for us in Parliament, voted for the motion to defeat Ken. You understand?
Right.
Because the vote on the removal of a minister or so will be a secret ballot. So they could have had the opportunity to get him out.
So when they held that press conference and said that they wanted Ken out, you don't believe that was because they actually wanted to do that?
No, we knew that these people, they will be whipped. We knew that they will be whipped. But if they had allowed us to take the step, all that we needed was just about 18 votes from their side.
And that would have been it.
But they didn't. They did a U-turn. So we also backed out. We're looking at them. And it failed. You understand? So sometimes leadership is very important. Look, some of us were opposed to the manner and the process by which our leadership was changed in Parliament.
Yes.
And I was one of the people vehemently. Not that we didn't believe in the leadership which was coming. We knew the leadership was good. We knew our people were okay. I've always maintained that put one NDC, one MPP on every aspect of our life, be it the economy, social life, everything. None. There's no way any MPP person will be better than the NDC person. I'm telling you, I've said this and people have agreed. Bring them best, select the MPs, the best MPP 30. We'll select best NDC 30 in various fields.
And you would have an edge over them.
They will never match us.
Right.
They will never match us. But we are not too noisy. The fact about the NDC is that we believe in action.
Okay.
We don't want to talk too much. And so sometimes they are loud-mouthed and people think that they are better than us. But no, I don't know any MPP person in any field who can be compared to his colleague in the NDC. No.
Right.
Economy? What? Which one? So we have always known that we are better than them. So when the change of leadership came, we said, look, even though the process, let's use this to finish the MPP. Because we knew, once Atu become the leader, the issue about the economy that we've drummed will be at the front burner.
Yes.
2, it will also now give us the opportunity to have somebody like Aruna at the back to fire his missiles. Because when you are a leader, sometimes you are limited by the way you act. Because there are certain protocols that the leader will not be able to do. What I can do sitting behind the leader himself cannot do.
Right.
So, but then with them, it was a catastrophe.
So yours was strategic.
We were strategic, but then it was I don't know whether they wanted to copy us or they did it on the spur of the moment.
Right.
But it was catastrophic because the change was too wide and too obvious. The transition between Aruna and Nato wasn't that. It was opaque. You wouldn't even see it. But yes, it became so obvious, so transparent, and everybody could see the gap between Mensah and Apenyo Markin. You understand? Right. And today, up to today, if people put the MPP side, or let me say the MPP side of Parliament between 2017 and 2025, and the current one from 2025 going, everybody will see the gap. The gap is so wide. But tell me whether you can see any difference, too much difference, between our side in 2017 and our side today. So,
is that what translated into what we are seeing in Parliament in terms of the numbers?
Yes, because you see, it got to a time people are underestimating the Ghanaian electorate. Because of social media, people actually are getting knowledge, information much more readily and much more on a wider scale. So they are able to do analysis of the various information, the way the information and the sort of knowledge they acquire and take a decision. It's not sometimes when the person has to reason on his own. This time, the person is reasoning, but the person is also getting some other materials and information to be able to support his reasoning or to see whether his reasoning measure up to the reasoning of somebody else.
Okay.
So the ability for people now to change the mind of others is much more pronounced than before. So how you are able to present yourself, how you are able to sell your message to the electorate is become more scientific and more analytical than before. You can't just throw anything to the electorate and expect the electorate to take it hook and line and sinker. This time you have to be able to convince the person with superior knowledge, with superior intelligence to be able to get the person to sway. And that is exactly what the NPP had always thought that, it's like Napo standing there and saying that, oh, you can go from the Omamu t-shirt, you understand? So they were still seeing the electorate as the same vulnerable, let me say, easy to be manipulated electorate.
So they have not come to terms with reality.
Well, I would say this. So far, in their analysis, and so far, the way they are doing things, I don't think they have. We were able to recover early from the punch of the 2016 elections through the Kwesi Botcho committee. And we were able to immediately take measures and steps to be able to address some of the inadequacies in our electioneering campaign and in our structure for the elections. If you look at what they're doing now, I think it will take them much more longer time to be able to recover.
Even though they say they're ready for 2028.
Oh, it's like Bewa United going to play Real Madrid. There's no way Bewa United will say that we are not ready for this match. You understand?
Right.
They will say that we're ready. They will tell the world, we will cause a surprise. We shall beat Real Madrid. There's no way the Bewa United coach will say, as for this match, we are going to get 20-0. You understand? No way. So they can continue they must inspire confidence in their supporters, in their base. They can't throw their hands into they can't throw the towel. They must, even their messaging of the fact that, oh, we didn't lose these elections, we gave it out. It's also another this thing. Like when we also said, I remember, that famous this thing we said, we are in a comfortable lead. You understand? At that time, the reality was dawning on us, but we need to say something to So let them continue saying it. Let them continue telling their supporters that they will win 2028. I've heard Bawumia say that, I don't know whether it's true, but it's been attributed to him. His PR has not refuted it. That because the NDC will be changing candidate in 2028.
Yes.
They stand
it's difficult for a first timer to win.
Yes. So. And who tells me he will win the flag bearership? Is it sure he will win the flag bearership?
He's very confident of that.
Really?
That the NPP will present him again.
I'm also very confident of winning our flag bearership.
Are you contesting?
Is Bamiel contesting?
Yes, he will.
If Bamiel is contesting, I will contest. Yes.
What, you think you have a better chance of beating Dr. Bawumia?
If the NDC should make me the flag bearer, I will beat Bawumia hands down.
Nii Lante, you are not more popular than Bawumia. He was vice president.
Who said? Are you sure?
He was vice president.
I wasn't a vice president, but I'm more popular than Bawumia. I will beat Bawumia even in Wale Wale.
What gives you that assurance?
Because Ghanaians know me better than Bawumia. Ghanaians know what I can deliver. Bawumia was given an opportunity and he poorly performed. But me, Ghanaians have tested me and they valued me, and they weighed me, and they know what I can do.
Are you interested in running for president?
Which Ghanaian would not be interested to be the president of this country?
2028.
I have not taken that decision yet.
You've not taken that decision yet?
Yes. And I'm not sure.
You're not sure?
No.
For 2028?
Yes. I'm not prepared. I've not prepared my mind to do that. Yes.
Right.
I for now, it's about resetting this country. It's about building the NDC, performing in such a manner that whoever we decided to fail as our flag bearer, who win the elections so easily.
Right.
So if 2028 we decided it's you, we want to build the NDC, perform,
Right.
Make Ghanaians so happy. Let Ghanaians believe in the reset agenda, that whoever we present in 2028 will have an easy way over whoever the MPP will present.
Okay.
That is what is important to me.
Right.
And if it happens that day it is you, I will confidently support you to win. You understand?
So is it too early then for those who are already initiating the conversation as to who succeeds John Dramani Mahama?
I've not heard anybody really showing any interest at this point in time. It is people who are speculating.
Right.
But speculation is always allowed. You understand? In the political atmosphere, in the political environment, speculations are always allowed. So,
but does it help the party now? Especially when you're not trying to reset the country.
Once it's not derailing us from our set objectives, I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Okay.
Once those speculations are not derailing us, once we are focused on our mandate, we have 4 years of John Mahama to reset this country and this economy. So far, so good. 4 months down the line, Ghanaians have never regretted voting for the NDC. In fact, Ghanaians are more happy voting for the NDC. And even the MPP people who also were stubborn, were, let me say, transigent enough to vote for the MPP, have regretted. I said maybe we should have joined our colleagues who took the decision to abandon the MPP and vote for the NDC. A lot of them. I've met a lot of people who are MPP who still voted for the MPP. Said, right. People are saying within this short time, people have seen vast difference in governance.
So when you heard the MPP say that it's been 120 bitter days under John Mahama,
were you expecting them to clap for us? And don't expect your mother-in-law to praise your rival in any dance. Your mother-in-law, whether you dance bad or not, because you are the son-in-law, he will praise you.
Right.
So I don't expect the MPP to clap for us. I don't expect them to praise us. What is important is for us to be able to make it clear that now to Ghanaians that they didn't vote for nothing.
Right.
I'm happy, I'm proud of myself. One of the things that I feel so proud about is the fact that even the governance have made the stress and the pressure and the tension in society come down.
Right.
Every Ghanaian now feel relieved. There's no more pressure on the person. It doesn't matter whether the person has money in his pocket or not. People feel relieved. And that to me is much more valuable than so many things. And that is one aspect. I wish we can go like this up to elections. The elections will pass in 2028 without any notice. Ghanaians will vote easily and go and sit down because they know that the NDC government will continue to deliver on the mandate.
Well, so my guest tonight, Nii Lante Vanderpuye, Edwin Nii Lante Vanderpuye, former member of Parliament for the Kodjo, now is the national coordinator of DRIP, and it will be a travesty of justice if we don't talk about DRIP. You said earlier in your submission that when you told John Dramani Mahama, the president of the land, His Excellency, that you wanted to bow out of Parliament, he says, don't worry, he will have a place for you. Was that place DRIP?
I can say yes, because I know John Mahama to always, he doesn't act on impulse. He is always meticulous. He sit down and all. The DRIP, people sit outside there, don't know how important DRIP is.
Right, because I'm sure people have asked you, Nii Lante, why DRIP?
Yeah, people.
You could have had a different appointment.
Yeah, people don't know. Sometimes it is not always those who wear the jersey who make the most impact. Sometimes the Mensah, sometimes it's much more effective because at every point he gets onto the field. When the player is down, he gets onto the field. You don't know what he whispers into the ears of the players on the field. Do you understand? Sometimes some of your best guys, some of the it's always better to stay back, to insulate them, take them away from the arrows, let them be back, and then come from the back. Sometimes it's much more impactful and more impacting when you do that, because then you are able to build a reserve of energy that at the right time when you unleash will finish your enemy. Drip is a very, very important sector of our economy. Over the years, from the time of Jerry John Rawlings, there has been an attempt of the sort. During the time of the Rawlings, there were acquisition of equipment. That time we had work camps, for various regions and districts where the roads department have people, workers, they go do potholes filling, patching and reshaping of road at any point in time. During the time of President Mills, there was an effort. Machinery were brought in, graders were brought in to help the assemblies, these assemblies to reshape their roads. Then President Kufuor also did the same. President Mama built upon all that had been built in the past with the acquisition of almost about 300 to 400 machines. And that one was made in a regional pool.
Right.
Before we left office in 2017. Then Nanado's government came and saw that these are prudent measures that they were adopted over the time period. So let's escalate it. So they escalated it. Unfortunately, they didn't really make use of it until they left office. So there was a need for the president to look at a steady, firm hand to be able to handle that place, because the amount of money, the amount of state funds that have been sunk into that sector in the acquisition of those equipment, very, very huge. So you need somebody who will use it to make the state benefit immensely from those equipments. You need somebody who is firm, who is fair-minded, somebody who is buffed and also baked in the local governance system, understand the local governance system. You need somebody who can look into the face of people who will have the intention of misuse of this state property and tell them, I will not allow you to do that. And so I think the president did not make a mistake in choosing me.
Right.
I'm grateful for his choice, because basically he's given me the opportunity to do what I've always loved to do. I'm somebody who grew up in a rural area. I didn't grow up in the city. I stayed in the rural area. I have walked miles to the farm. I've walked miles out of the farm. I've lived in the farming community for days where I did not see electricity, where I did not see road.
Right.
You understand? So, because I come from Accra, sometimes people mistakenly think that Nii Lante is a Accra boy.
You're not a city boy.
No. I grew up in the village.
Right.
I grew up in the villlich. When I was growing up in Adan, there was no light. There was no water. We were using wells. From Adan, I came to Accra. Yes, even when I was in Accra, every vacation I go back home to go and sell sponge. You understand? Crazine. That time there was no electricity.
Right.
I'll carry crazine, bottles of crazine, and walk all the way from Adanfo to Anyakpo, to Okanse Kope, to Timea Kope, Pute, sell, and come back.
Right.
Sometimes I leave after school, 3:30, I start selling crazine. I come back home 7 o'clock walking.
So you understand the challenge?
Yes. I know what it is. When I was in secondary school in Bechem, I used to walk almost 1 kilometer to the riverside, the stream, to fetch water. You understand? I grew up in a Sunyani where we didn't have 24-hour electricity. At that time, the whole Bronx was dependent on a generator, not Akosombo. So, it's good. I've always thought that as a politician, what I can do is opportunity God has given me to be able to also give something back.
Right.
To the communities and people who have shaped me, who have built me, who have made me who I am.
Right. So as National Coordinator of Drip, what do you do?
Well, my basic function is to harness those machines
Okay.
to be able to do our roads in the various districts, put them in shape, maintain them, make them more motorable so that people will have access to markets, to school, to hospitals without any problem. Those roads in the past where it becomes almost unmotorable, when pregnant women want to go to the hospital, they have to be put in prayer, and all those things have to be a thing of the past. So we'll harness the resources from the district assemblies to be able to galvanize them, make sure we coordinate activities in such a manner that all roads in the districts will be maintained very well, make them motorable, to be able to create access to market, to school, to hospital, and the rest, so that the cost of living of these rural folks in the various communities will come down.
Right.
Because when the roads are good, the prices of the foodstuff, the prices of goods and services in the capitals become cheaper.
Right.
When roads are good, people easily could access education, people easily could go to the hospital and the rest. So it makes life more meaningful for the people underprivileged.
Right. So are you targeting only rural areas?
No, the district roads improvement project are only targeting roads in the various districts.
Across the country?
Across the country, not the urban roads.
Okay.
Under the road infrastructure of the road architecture of Ghana, we have the roads and highways. We have the ministry, which is responsible for all these, our trunk roads, highways, and the rest. Then we have urban roads, which is responsible for municipal and metropolitan roads.
Okay.
Then we have feeder roads, which was then fully responsible for our district roads. But because of our decentralization policy, aspect of the feeder roads is now at the district level. So we have a road department at the district level. Those small district roads that lead to the urban centers and things are the responsibility of the district assemblies.
Right.
But because they don't have the logistics and the resources to be able to maintain those roads, 95% of those roads become a problem for them. So it is how to cure this disease of the 95% of rural roads, which sometimes become not motorable, becomes difficult for the people, is the reason why DRIP has been created.
Right.
So our responsibility basically is to look at how that road from that small hamlet, that farming community to the district capital, that road linking two district capitals together, how all those roads will be taken care of.
And how has it been so far?
Good. It's not been easy because it's a new department.
Yes.
We're structuring it. We are working on recruiting close to 4,460 operators who will be in charge of the machines.
Okay.
Then we'll have district coordinators who will be able to coordinate the activities of these operators within the district. We'll have regional coordinators who will also coordinate the activities of the district coordinators.
Right.
And then I, at the National Secretariat, I'm the national coordinator. I have 2 deputies and 2 technical directors.
Right.
So that's the structure, that's the organogram that we have. Then we now waiting for the clearance. Let me say thank you to His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama. He's been so magnanimous. He's been so happy with us that he personally is intervening for us to have the clearance and the warrant to recruit these people under the local government service, so that they will be staff of the assemblies and they will work. At every district, we are supposed to have the district roads management team, which is comprised of the chief executive, the coordinating director, the district finance officer, the district works engineer, the roads engineer, the DRIP coordinator, and 1 representative of the traditional authorities. So they will always quarterly look at the work program of the district, because maybe you want this road to be done, but according to the committee, they think that this one is of more.
So they will prioritize the projects,
do the work, do the estimate and everything, and then make sure those roads are done.
Okay. And you say you are looking to employ 4,460.
4,460.
460. 4,460.
In fact, actually they are set. what we are waiting now is a clearance.
The clearance that the president is intervening.
Yes, so that we give them appointment letters.
Right.
So there are a lot of people are calling me today. I've had more than 20 calls. When are we getting an appointment? Because the rains have set in.
Yes.
The good thing for us is that the rains have set in now. So we're using this time to train, because all these operators have to be trained. So GA Plant Pool is going to train them, certify them, so that they could operate the machines. These machines are very unique. They are new. They are more computerized.
Right.
And so the person must have knowledge in the operation of the machine. So they are going to be trained. And then by the time we finish with the training, the rains will have subsided. Then we move straight into full operation.
Oh, okay.
Because for now, because it's raining, when you do anything, when you reshape a road, it may rain tomorrow, that road will go bad, and then you'll have wasted resources.
Right.
The other thing which was delaying us a bit was the fact that the DCs and the MMDCs have to be in place,
right,
to chair the district roads management teams. So now that they are all set, a lot of them have been confirmed down. It makes it easier for us
to start operations.
Yeah.
Right. So talk to me about the incident in Obuasi. You had to personally make sure that one of your equipment was impounded, and you brought the police in.
It's not the only incident.
Right.
There have been so many instances. Let me be frank with you. I want people, let me take this opportunity to caution all Ghanaians and to caution those who think that it is another laissez-faire. It's another let it be, another opportunity for them to do what they want to do. I am not one of the people who will say that will allow you to misuse the machine. I don't care who you are. I will not. Then you have to eradicate me. You have to eliminate me. Because I will not allow you to misuse the machine. The machines are meant for a purpose. And I will make sure that we strictly adhere to that objective of acquiring these machines. It's for our roads. If we have to assist any state institution or organization, we will do that, but it must be under permission.
Right.
We will not just allow the machines to be abused, people to abuse the use of the machines. That is not the only incident. There have been so many. Since I took over, there have been so many, about 12 to 15 cases.
Wow.
Yes, and I've not been friendly. Them. Some have even been involved with regional chairmen, executives of our party, and I've made it clear to them, I'm not going to allow that to happen. It will not happen.
So you don't allow for the equipment to be used for purposes other than which they were procured?
Yes. If we have to do that, let me take it for example.
Right.
We've had a request from the National Service Authority that they want us to assist them to expand their farm for good reason. It's farming. The road will lead to the farm. We have to do it for them. If they want us to clear part of the farm, which equipment is good for it, we shall do it for them. National Service Authority is part of government. We have a situation where, for example, Upper East Regional Minister wrote that they want to use one of the equipment to do an expansion of the runway of the new airport which is being constructed in Bolga. Why not? For good purpose. All that I needed to do is to certify that the person who is going to operate the machine is qualified to operate the machine. So they proved to me that he was one of the people who were trained under the past government. He's qualified, he can do it. So why not? I gave approval, and it was used for that purpose. Once you do not notify me, once we did not give approval, you cannot use the machine for anything.
So you can confidently tell us now that none of your machines it's at any Galamsey site.
That would be interesting. That would be interesting. That would be interesting. I was there when I got a notice from my very good friend. He's the lead spokesperson for the anti-Galamsey coalition, former graphic.
Kenashigbe.
Engineer Kenashigbe called me and all this. Immediately I checked. Apparently, they needed a low loader to pick an equipment from where it has been seized to a place of safety, and they made a request to the regional minister and he granted. The mayor made a request and he granted. It's for a state activity. You understand? It was not going to be used The loader is not going to be used for Galamsey. It was rather helping the anti-tax force to be able to retrieve. So, that one. But even that one, I queried the regional minister. I said, you don't do that without my authority. At least call me and ask me, because I'm the one who is going to answer on those machines. For now, the state has given those machines to me. I'm supposed to manage it. And I want to be answerable at any point in time when I'm called. I want to be accountable. So please, next time don't do that again. He apologized, and we've been working together. I went to Obuasi basically to assist. It's a responsibility I was assigned a responsibility to go and assist in the confirmation of the MCA. So I had done my work. So we're going to have lunch, and I saw this machine. You know what is happening to me? I don't know, but God has now given me an instinct and a distinct to be able to identify my machine once I passed.
So once you see the machine, you can
I know that this is this machine. There were 2,000 sensors, but I can tell you once I pass by a machine, once I even drive past and the machine is parked somewhere, spiritually I connect.
The machines have become a part of you.
Yes, because I'm always praying. And I'm always conferring with my God to make me be able to discharge this responsibility without blemish. So sometimes, out of intuition, I say, this machine, I don't always get it right. But in 70%, I've gotten them right.
Right.
I see a machine parked somewhere, then I just drive there. I say, oh, it's not mine. I drive here. I say, oh yes, it's one of the drip machines. What is it doing here? Oh, this way it's been kept. I said, okay, fine. As well as police stations and all this. So I saw it. I was on the Obuasi Kumasi Road. Then it was from Kumasi Obuasi Road. I passed it. I said, no, this is my machine. This is one of the machines. This is the drip machine. So I told my driver to stop. Stop. It was going. So I got a motorbike rider. I said, can you stop that machine going? So the rider was able to go over the curb and then go, because I had to go and do U-turn at the police barrier on the Obuasi Kumasi Road. So if I had gone to do the U-turn before chasing him, he would have gone. I wouldn't know. So the motorbike was able to stop the machine. So I made a U-turn and got there. So I stopped the driver. I said, yes, hello. Yeah. I mentioned my name. Then he mentioned his name. I said, are you a Stafford Assembly? He said, no. I said, who gave you the permission to be operating this machine? He said, a Stafford Assembly. Who is the staff? He said, one officer. I said, which officer? He could not really identify the officer. At that time, I saw that one of the valves, hydraulic valves, was broken. So I said, look, put off the engine so that we don't lose all the oil in that. So he did. He was cooperating. So I said, so you don't know who sent you? What were you using it for? He said, and they asked me to go and clear a particular site and all that. I said, site? Whose site? He said, assembly. I said, really? Where's the document? What shows? Fine. Where's your license? He didn't have his license. I said, where's your certificate? Were you trained by the assembly to operate the machine? He said, yes. I said, really? You were trained? He said, yes. I said, where's your certificate? He didn't have it. I said, okay. Can you call the officer who gave you the permission to use that? He said, yes, I can. I said, go ahead and call the person. So I called the police. When I called, I was with the Deputy Director General of NADBO, who was the NDC parliamentary candidate in Obuasi East, Abuaje. So we called the police command, and they dispatched officers. So the officers came. We narrated the incident. We told them the reason why we are doing it. So I showed them the letter that has been sent to all these three assemblies to pack the machine, and at any point in time they will have use of the machine. They should first inform us. The reason being that we've taken this over these machines. One, we are yet to have the full transfer of ownership.
Right.
Two, insurance. We are yet to pay the full insurance this year. So if we are not careful and we allow the misuse of these machines and they break down and they get destroyed, we will lose the insurance, we'll lose everything. And I'm not prepared to be part of such, let me say, intentional sabotage of the nation.
Right.
I want to make sure that these machines, they are very expensive. And so Ghanaians will appreciate why the state has invested so much in these machines.
Interesting.
So the police have carried out further investigation.
Right.
Yes, the report to me now says that a site which was being cleared is a new site that Assembly has acquired to move the artisans in the center of town to. So they are preparing the site, but they didn't do it with authority, so they've written apologizing and accepting their responsibility.
Right.
So I've said that, yes, I've agreed. But the cost of the repair of that valve should be on the head of the two officers, the rules engineer and also the fiscal planner.
Right.
They should be responsible for the
valve.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, because they acted without authority. Even though whatever they are doing is legitimate, they acted without authority.
They didn't follow the due process.
The due process, so they must pay for it.
Okay. Well, we have a few more minutes to wrap up the conversation. I wish I had an extra 2 hours with Nii Lante Vanderpuye, but you understand why.
Don't go into sports. Don't go into sports.
I'm not going to sports. I'm just going to ask what you make of the new minister, the minister for sports, Kofi Adams.
Oh, it's good. It's good. What I like about Kofi Adams is the fact that he listens.
Right.
Yeah, and he's always to share ideas. He's always to call. He's ready to call and say, this is what we want to do. What is your opinion? And I'm impressed. So far, it's good. It's been good.
And what should he avoid to be successful as minister?
There are so many pitfalls, and sometimes some of those pitfalls are very deceptive. Some of the people come as wolves in sheep's clothing, and you must be wiser. You must be more intelligent than them. And the only way you can do is to consult, do a lot of consultation. So far, he's consulting very well, and as such, he's avoiding some of those pitfalls.
Right.
One of the commendable things I will say about him, even within this short time, is the immediate step he took to set up a committee to investigate the death of a Nigerian boxer in Accra. It's highly commendable. And that
you understand the committee has presented
its report. That is good. That is fast. That is very... It immediately dissolved the sort of tension that was being created between Ghana and Nigeria within the sporting arena, because the sort of statement that were made by the president of the Nigerian Nigerian Boxing Federation was a bit was undiplomatic. And so the way he acted, highly commendable. So far, I would say Kofi has been good. I wish, and he's also had a very good transition at the Ghana Olympic Committee with a new executive. I hope he will work with the executive.
Right.
And I'm seeing some good signs. Sometimes when the head is good, God has a mysterious way of making things good for the person. So, in spite of the fact that the task looks daunting, God has a way of making it easier for him.
Right.
And the governance itself is good. The fragrance of the governance is making every sector look good.
Right.
And we must maintain that. It shouldn't make us solely headed, because we are yet to even go through a quarter of our term. So we must rather work harder, so that as we get closer to the end of our term, people become more inspired, motivated, blessed by our governance.
Right.
So I wish him well. I wish he will continue.
Especially paying attention to the other sports aside football. He's been doing that quite a lot.
Yes, what he will now need is sort of financial support, the funding for the other sporting disciplines, because no matter what you do, football will continue to take the chunk.
Yeah.
Because I wonder whether there will be a time when a minister of sports can say that, to hell with the Black Stars, we don't have money, so we are not playing this qualifying match.
Right.
Ghanaians will stone you to death. So even when the Black Stars are not playing well, it will be unheard of to decide that, because we don't have money, we are not going to play this qualifying.
But is that enough justification for us not to even know their budget?
No, that I don't agree. And I saw something that was attributed to him. Unfortunately, I have not gotten an explanation from him yet. That I think for everything, budget of our sporting federation must be known.
Right.
one, it is not only to be known by Ghanaians, but even those stakeholders, the sportsmen and women who are into that federation, who are the people who are going to wear the jersey, must know what is involved. So, for example, if we're going to play a match, Ghana is going to play Nigeria, let's say, for example, the players themselves must know what they are entitled to before the match. We should be open to it. Look, we don't have money. This is how much we are going to give you. So that if there is anybody there who thinks that he is consumed by the spirit of greed, so he wouldn't want to take that money, so he won't play, let him go away. You understand?
Right.
To prevent the grumbling and the sort of dissatisfaction that sometimes follow up on our matches. There's no money, go, we shall get the money and send it to you. No, we said, look, for this match you are coming, we don't have money now. When we finish and government reimburses us, we'll forward the money, we'll send the money, we'll transfer the money to your account. Every Black Star player should have a local account. You understand me?
Every Black Star player?
Yes.
Right.
We must have a bank account here in Ghana. We must stop paying them money in foreign denomination. He comes to play, he's due 50,000 cedis, it's paid into his account.
In cedis?
Yes, because we buy the ticket for him to come, in and out ticket. He comes to play the match, he's going sometimes 24 hours, 48 hours time. So what does he need the cedis for? So the money is paid into his account. Where he's going, he doesn't need the cedis.
Right.
He needs the dollars. But he has so much dollars there, he has an account out there, he doesn't need this one.
Cedis, yeah.
So it must be religiously followed. It must be a policy that we are not going to pay our Black Star players, we are not going to pay our Black Queens, we are not going to pay anybody in foreign denomination. We are going to, if you come to play, we pay you in cedis.
Right.
Have an account, because we are not going to pay you over the table. Have an account. We pay the money into the account.
That's it.
It must be a policy.
Okay.
And that's what I expect him to do. Yes.
Nii Lante, it's been amazing having you
so much
tonight.
Thank you.
And
so
I'm hoping
much.
that in the coming days we can have further interactions.
Oh, I'm now free, so
right.
I'm not incumbent by the work in Parliament and the constituency. So I'm now more of drip.
Right.
So if it is a road that is your road to your house, your community that is not good, let me know. I'll talk to the assembly. And then we'll
I don't know if this falls within your jurisdiction. I'm a summon to Ashalaja.
It's horrible. I've been there. This morning, the new MC has talked to me. Dennis has talked to me, and we're looking at what we can do.
Please,
it's not only look.
It's destroyed my car.
Some parts of Accra are more horrible than some of the rural areas.
I agree.
If you go to areas like Anyaso, Tuom, CP, Botianonglish, Amanfom, Amasaman, those places, Ubum Domiabra.
Yeah. The roads are terrible.
They are extremely terrible. Yeah. You won't believe them.
You won't believe they are.
Bro.
Edwin Nii Lante Vanderpuye has been my guest here on State of Affairs. We've been talking drip and also national issues. But catch us same time next week right here on GHOne Television. I am Joshua Kodjo. Big thanks to the production team led by Ibrahim Al Hassan. You have a wonderful night.